Hi there, I'm Christine with What's Up Cupcake Whimsical Crafts, and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to share 10 items that I would recommend bringing for your next market or updating your shop with just in time for Mother's Day. In particular, I'm talking about Mother's Day in the US. I know that there are different dates that Mother's Day is celebrated around the world, but it is just about 2 weeks until Mother's Day here in North America. So I thought this would be a great time to cover some of the items that I plan on taking to my next market. I originally filmed this out on my porch because it is a beautiful evening in Raleigh, North Carolina. The weather is perfect. I live on the flight path or in the flight path, and planes kept flying overhead. My family is very active right now, so everyone was coming in and asking for me, Mom, do this, Mom, do that. So I felt like this is a perfect scenario to be filming this. I have since holed away into my office and scratched the idea of doing the video out on the porch in the beautiful weather because isn't that what mothers have to deal with? Our second best option. So thanks for joining me today. Let's talk about some of my recommendations of items that I think would just be fun to bring to your market for Mother's Day. First up is probably the most obvious, but how about some flowers for Mom? This is an assortment of stemmed flowers from the Junebug and James patterns that are on Etsy, and they're really great, easy patterns to do, fairly quick to whip up. I find the longest, or the part that takes the longest, is the stems, but she has such a huge variety. Daffodils are my favorite flower, and she recently released like a spring pack which had daffodils, and I was just overjoyed because personally, and this is a great selling point, daffodils are toxic to other flowers when you have them in like a cut bouquet. And so usually you're just going to have a vase of daffodils and that's it, because they're not great for other cut flowers to be around. Also peonies, and there's daisies, zinnias, all sorts of flower options, tulips. So I think that this is just a beautiful way to draw people into your booth. It could be a really nice gift for a mom that lasts year round because the flowers won't wilt or die. And yeah, could just be a sweet item. I think especially if you marketed it as kind of like doing a section or a corner of your booth as like the florist, or I did a recent market where I had like the farmer's market and I just had a cute little tag out. I'll drop a picture of like some potential signage that you could do for the space in this video so that you can check it out. But yeah, I just think flowers would be a beautiful addition to your market booth in general, draws people in. It's just really colorful. And I had tons of people coming over to see what the flowers were from the selection. I used to have sunflowers. I had quite a few of them and they just completely sold out of one of my recent markets. So I have to make some more of those. But that is the first item that I would recommend. All of the patterns that I'm going to talk about today for the items that we're covering are going to be in the link in my description. I have a link to a What's Up Cupcake Canvas site, and it has my favorite patterns that I use and indicate whether or not they're free or if there is a fee for them. I also have links to a lot of the yarns that I use and where you can get them, primarily Premier and Elise Veludo. I do use some Bernat. These flowers are mostly made with Bernat and just come up a little bigger, and that's why I use Bernat for them. I also get the dowels for these flowers. Okay, let's pull one out while we're talking about this. I get the dowels that are used in these flowers. I think you can use a wire too. I think she might offer that as a suggestion, but I get them from just my local hardware store. I can easily buy them in a pack and they're already pre-cut to, you know, this length. And they're so much cheaper. I found they're so much cheaper there than buying them from like Amazon or something like that, or Michael's. Michael's too, at least again, my Michael's, if you've been here before, is not the greatest, but they just have really long dowels. They don't have them already pre-cut. And they come in like a 10 pack or a dozen at my hardware store. And I want to say that they're like a couple bucks, maybe like 2 or 3. So I love using those to make the flowers when I do. And again, it's just a great eye-catching item in your booth. The next item that I want to talk about, kind of in the same vein, is little popping plants. So I do little faces on these. You don't have to. I find that they're cute. Some people don't really care for the face, but you can always turn it around too if that's, a way to suggest it to them. But it's just also like double duty as a fidget item. And this is Bernat blanket yarn. The only place I found this like variegated, I think it's Bernat baby blanket yarn when you go to look for it, and it's at Yarnspirations, and they have it in this like speckled green, pink, red, purple, blue, and a couple others, but I've only ever found it on Yarnspirations in this speckled variety. But I like how it looks. They also, this pattern is from Cable and Canvas. She also has a pattern for a prickly pear cactus, and that one also does really well at my markets. I just didn't want to dig around in my market supply to pull it out. I was all sold out of the Hoya, so I had to make some more of it for my market and thought I'd share these. But I like this little heart. I think Hoyas are also fairly expensive at my local nursery, so I like this option of having this. I do my hand painted safety eyes in them, and it just gives a nice little touch. But fun little gift for mom. The next item is a regular potted flower. This is from Minnie's Crochet Friends, and she also has a bunch of different flower patterns. So sunflower, daffodils, daisies, roses. I think she has even more like tulips. She has hanging plants. Any of those would be great items. I didn't put the faces on these because I wanted to offer something that didn't have them. They are not fidget. I mean, obviously I'm like fidgeting with it, but they're not like a popper or anything. You just stuff them so that it's flat. And I put some weighted pellets in the bottom of them just to give it some heft slash staying power, because I imagine that it's not something people are going to be fidgeting with. It's going to go on display in a windowsill or on a desk at work, something like that. So just put some little weighted pellets in there. I do have a video where I share how I use weighted pellets so that they don't spill everywhere inside your product and are still washable and all that. But these are really easy to make up too. I kind of did a production line of them where I just made a bunch of the pots and then made the different flowers and attached them all, sewed on the leaves, and was good to go. So they come together pretty fast. And again, I love the variety. I think it's just going to be so colorful at my booth, and it could just be a nice little gift, especially, if a kid's there and wants to get something for their parent. This could be a great item to get them. And again, you don't have to worry about watering them, and they won't die like the plants that I have in my house that I try to keep alive. What would flowers be without some little bees? So the bees are just really cute. These are using Lion Brand Feels Like Bliss. I am getting better at working with it. I don't hate it so much. And these just whip up really quickly. This is the pattern from the Cozy Stitch. There's so many bee patterns out there, but I really like this pattern. I talked about it in my last video. I modify the pattern just a little bit because of the way Feels Like Bliss kind of blends together because of the fur. I will also charge the same price for these as I do with my regular bees, which are made in blanket yarn. They come out a little smaller, but Feels Like Bliss costs quite a bit more, especially because Michael's raised their price on it. And again, I think this will be really cute in the display with my flowers. I have like kind of a honeycomb shaped window box that I got at Michael's or Joann's, and I put some like gold, the paper you get in the scrapbook section at the stores. I cut out a piece of paper to fit within that, and I Mod Podged it into the back of the box, and it's gold, and it just looks really nice. And I'm going to put the little bees on display in there. I have probably half a dozen of these between these fuzzy ones and then also my regular bees. And I think it'll be a fun display item to complement the flowers that I have out. In addition to these items, chickens are my #1 selling item at my markets. I have sold so many chickens at this point. Every market I have, they are pretty much the item that I sell the most of if I don't sell out of them. So I highly recommend having some chickens. I also put weighted pellets in them. So again, they have a little bit more heft. They're still squishy, but I hear a lot of people saying like they put them in their kitchen on a windowsill again, or they're often, it seems, buying it more for like a decor item versus a snuggly plushie. So you can still snuggle with it, but it really is very conducive for being like on display with its little heft. And I've heard people in my booth, you know, picking up the chickens like, oh, it's weighted, you know. So love the chickens. They come together so fast. Again, great kind of batch make item. I make the shell in a bunch of different colors. So have a couple more color variations here. They come together so great too with like variegated yarn or yarn that just has different kind of designs on it. And I sell mine for $12 and they just fly off the shelves. I think the two most popular that I do, this is Bernat Blanket in Frosting Sunday Times. So it's kind of like a gray tan speckle. And then this one is the Bernat Blanket Tweed. So these two are probably the #1 chickens to go whenever I bring them. But other than that, really, I just have them in whatever yarn I can kind of find. I have them in different blacks and browns, and I've had them in blue for Stardew Valley. Chickens, man. And a lot of people seem to be getting chickens right now. So I've heard lots of people come in the booth and say, oh, mom has this, or like, oh, we should get this because we have a chicken at home that looks like this one, or whatever. So I find offering the most variety in your chickens is a great way to go, because there's going to be a chicken out there for someone. I never thought I'd say that, but there is a chicken out there for everyone, I guess. Next item, let's pivot a little bit. We're moving into home decor. I had a lot of rainbow pillows in the fall in my booth. I don't know why that one stitch wants to look funny. I feel like it's like extra highlighted in this video, but it doesn't stand out like that in IRL. But anyways, I have had these rainbow pillows from Baubles and Blooms in my booth throughout the entire fall. And then at some point I sold out of them during the holiday craziness, and I just have not had time to make more of them. So I really wanted to make sure I had more for the spring. And I find most often these are purchased by adults, either for decor in a nursery or for themselves. And I've had a couple people have come in that said, this is going to be my pillow and not my kids, and they're not going to take it from me. So just, you can have fun with it. You can do it in a ton of different variations of colorways and color combinations. They come together pretty fast. Again, I talked about this one in my last video, but you can do this kind of edging in the specific stitch that Baubles and Blooms talks about. But then if you want it to be a little bit faster, you can just do a regular crochet stitch when you're doing this. You don't have to do anything fancy. And it just comes together pretty fast for a home decor item, and can be, again, a nice like eye-catching number. I like to put them, I get a small basket and I'll put a few of them in there. People kind of like to pick through it. So hoping I can make another couple of variations of these. I have 2 of them for my next market coming up, but if I could get maybe 2 more in different colorways, I think that would be a hit. My next market, by the way, is not this weekend, but next. So it's the weekend before Mother's Day in the US. And so I think that having some of these items out there is really just going to be kind of checking all the boxes of people who might be doing some last minute shopping for Mother's Day. It's also the day before Star Wars Day, May the 4th. Fortunately, I don't think I'll have anything for that one. My market's going to be at a art museum, the North Carolina Museum of Art, to be specific. It's in downtown Raleigh, right by NC State University, and it's just a beautiful location. The museum itself has a couple of buildings, but all around the museum, there's like just fields with art displays, like giant sculptures and kind of things you can run around in. My kids love hanging out there when the weather is nice. So fingers crossed for nice weather. But they do a market along some of the main pathways. I've always wanted to do it. I've never been able to get into this market. I'm so excited for this one. But it's just like a really cool location. And on a gorgeous day, it is a great place to just get out with the family and kind of wander around. So yeah, I'm very excited for this market. And I just love going to the North Carolina Museum of Art. On to the next item, Kindle covers, book covers. I'm not going to say the name of the designer of this pattern because I'm going to get it messed up. It's like LKT or LTK. I don't know. But I will have it linked in my link file below. Really easy pattern, perfect for like watching TV. It's just a mindless stitch. Once you get the base set up, you can kind of just go with it and keep going. But it's great, all the different combinations you can do. The pattern designer too uses these felties and these little wood buttons. You can use regular buttons. You don't have to use these felties. You can leave it blank, or you could probably make up like a flower or something. You could embroider something yourself to go onto it, whatever you want to do. Like, you could have so much fun with this pattern. So I went ahead and just did it exactly as the designer does it because I have been following them forever. This is one of the first patterns I actually bought when I started my business. And I think I even got some of the felties. I don't know where I put them, but I have a couple other designs somewhere in my office. But yeah, she also has like cup cozies, coffee cup cozies, things like that. So that could be another great item to add to it. But I really recommend coming up with something different that maybe isn't a plushie. Just again, so there's kind of something for everyone. I think that sometimes people see plushies and just think kids, but you could also come up with these little Kindle covers or book covers. I'm probably going to do like a belly band around it. I don't know if enough people know. I've worked in retail for so long, but like a paper band that just says like book cover, Kindle cover. But yeah, I think that's going to be really fun. While we're on the topic of books, of course you have to have some dragons. Dragons are all the rage, not just for kids these days. The dragons that I find adults coming in for are the ones that look like the fourth wing colors. So that would be gold, black, and a dark blue. So this small dragon pattern is great. It's actually a free pattern linked in my document, but it comes together pretty fast. There is another pattern that just came out by Avalon Crochets. It's a little mini dragon. All of those could be really cute because, you know, it's just a dragon you might put on your desk or in your bookshelf or something like that. But making them in those colors, again, those have been the ones that have been selling out consistently in my booth recently. Kids seem to just gravitate towards any color that they like of a dragon. I also have like this cream one. I have a few more that are in my market bag in black and navy blue and so on. But definitely have some dragons. You know, mom might want that to sit with her while she's reading her dragon book. Another item that could be a really great option is a stress ball. Everyone gets stressed. Why not make a stress ball? I really like the patterns from Unraveled and Unwound. I, in particular, have been making avocados for my markets. I'm currently wiped out of them and I did not have time to make more for this video, but that's what I'm going to be making later tonight. I just want to make sure this video got out in time for Friday, just based on my posting schedule. But including the picture of the pattern in particular, I've had people comment before that any sort of fruit and vegetables they would love to have just as their little stress ball option. So yeah, I think the avocado itself is probably one of the most popular ones that I have sold. Again, I'm sold out of them at the moment, but that again could just be a really fun, sweet item for like a stressed out parent. And I know that Unraveled and Unwound also has a bumblebee stress ball. There is a carrot. So you have a ton of options. You could get a star, um, you know, whatever kind of fits the theme that you're going with at your table for that day. The last item is more along the lines of a silly item, but how about an emotional support pickle or a positive potato for mom? Both of these normally would have signs. I have just been cranking them out and haven't made the signs yet. I will probably glue them on. I previously tied them on, but I thought it looked a little messy. I don't think people are taking the signs off of them, but they get a good laugh. The pickle is Amis by Angel, I think is the designer. It'll be linked. And the little sign that I have for it says, "You're kind of a big deal." The pattern actually comes with a sign template. I made my own just because I could change the size of it to how I wanted it to. Um, and then this is just a little potato pattern that I put together because most of the potato patterns I found out there are made for like worsted weight yarn or some other acrylic yarn, and it was just a ton of rows and it was going to be a giant potato no matter what I did. So I came up with my own little potato version. Um, and this one I will have a variety of signs, so I got to make a few more potatoes, but some of the sign options I was thinking of putting on it are "You can do it," "Yukon do it," um, "Less haters, more taters," and there was another one I can't think of, but I'll put it on the screen. So yeah, I love having the little emotional support items though, because people get a little giggle when they're looking at it, and it's not like a high price point item, so it can be nice for just finding something that someone might like that kind of grabs their attention, doesn't cost a lot of money, but still has like a big impact in terms of the joy it brings people. All right, those are 10 items that I think would be great additions for a Mother's Day market setup, or promoting on your um, personal shop page or store. What other items would you suggest? Feel free to drop in the comments what some of your thoughts are on items that could be great for a Mother's Day assortment, or that you're just planning on bringing to your next market in general. Thanks for joining me on this video today. If you liked this content, please like and subscribe. I would love to have you join me in the future when I share other market makes that I am working on, progress and tips about things that have been successful for me at my markets. I have a bunch of videos in my channel already of market prep details, the results from markets that I've had, and just other fun random topics. Love talking about books. When I was working on all of this stuff this week, I was either reading Familiaris, that has been a book that it's just come into my Libby, or I was binge watching some Netflix. I watched Apple Cider Vinegar, and I started the $1,000,000 Challenge, I think it's called. It's like a reality series. But yeah, just some fun like stuff where I didn't have to think too much while I was crocheting, and kept me entertained. But yeah, share in the comments below if you have any recommendations of items for your next spring market or for Mother's Day makes that you might have. And if you're watching this outside of North America Mother's Day, I hope this information was still helpful for your market details or planning for other Mother's Day dates throughout the world. Thanks. Bye.